Shoilse a Ardeaspag an Mairéad, a Príomhoide, Bord Bánaíochta an Choláiste, Fuair an Choláiste, Mhuire, Scalóirí agus a lucht Fearghaile. Is cúis mór áthas domsa, fáilte I chealaí a chur roimh ag an ócáid speisialta seo. Is mór an Déardaoin, Diarmuid Ó Fearghail, Ardeaspag Bhaile Átha Cliath, a bheith inar measc a nocht, agus tá súla gcuin a Shoilse go mhainfidh tú íomhnas agus áthas as de chuirt orn. Tá sé de fribhléid agamsa mar reachtaire na híthe, labhairt libh a nocht ag an Seoladh Slí Chun Dé, Searmanais Phaidreoireachta de Dhéagóirí. Is mór an cúis mórtais agus áthas dún, bheith an seo libh tróna ag creile go beo ó Choláiste Mhuire, ionad oibre an úidir an Mairéad, agus blianta fada catta eici ag obair go dtíon díthallach linn ag Choláiste Mhuire. Bunaí Choláiste Mhuire sa bhliain 1931, agus muide calóra nócha bliain ar an bhód a mí mamfóver, curfamid tús leis an ócáid a nocht le turas féarúil ar Choláiste Mhuire. Inis, curm fáilte riv an Ardeaspag Diarmuid Ó Fearghail cúpla focail around Lynn. We'd like to welcome His Grace Archbishop Diarmuid Fearghail to say a few words.
I'm going to give this address in my mother tongue rather than trying to translate it into a language that is not my first language. First of all, good evening, and particular thanks for the welcome here this evening for this very special occasion. There are two occasions. I suppose if I put it this way, the occasion is really the launch of Sister Mairéad's books, Slí Chun Dé, but it's also, we're celebrating the 90th anniversary of the establishment of Choláiste Mhuire, and we're marking that in a particular way, as it's a milestone in the life of any educational institution, 90 years, and they're preparing, I suppose, in some sense remotely for the centenary, which will be coming up in 10 years' time. And in those intervening years, since it was established 90 years ago, it has educated so many pupils that have contributed in so many ways here to the city of Dublin, to the Archdiocese of Dublin, indeed to political life in and around the capital city. Those people have been, as I might put it this way, ambassadors for the college in the past, and they're a current crop of people who are still functioning in society, continue to be ambassadors for Choláiste Mhuire. Change and continuity have characterized the life of the college. Change has come in the form of, for example, the physical move from Parnell Square to this beautiful building by maybe a circuitous route. You're not here that long, but that is part of the change. Change has come over those 90 years in many versions of the curricula, the latest incarnation of which we viewed here on the screen this evening. And indeed, there has been new management structures over those 90 years in how the school has been managed, and so many more complexities in the educational field. But underlying all those evident problems of complexity in school life are the most basic problem or issue of values, because ultimately those are the things that underlie every educational system. With the increase in complexity, I suppose, especially in my time even, and in very modern times, planning for the future has come to require more formality and technical expertise than, for example, when I attended college many, many years ago. The values, of course, that are served, they remain fundamental. And it's the same values that has underlined all education right since the beginning of the foundation of this college 90 years ago. And in a period when, I suppose, values of Irish primary and indeed secondary education and even tertiary education and of Western society itself appear to be under threat, the consistent manifestation of Catholic values in the school would give it, I think, particularity indeed, in some sense defining what Choláiste Mhuire has been and hopefully will continue to be into the future. And thus I suppose I can say it is said that planning is imperative for Choláiste Mhuire, and that will demand a continued recognition of the academic tradition that it has inherited and the educational tradition that has given it a particular expression to that heritage over the last 90 years. Secondly, of course, the reason that I'm here is to welcome the republication of Slí Chun Dé, which is a book of prayer services that was originally put together by Sister Mhuire in Bhuchalla back in 2009. And that book has now been amplified. It has come in colour with nice colour illustrations. And I want to thank Sister Mairéad for the enthusiasm to rethink that book and to put it out to meet the modern needs of our pupils today. Sister Mairéad, of course, has also been assisted by Lily Barry there, who is sitting beside her this evening. She's the diocesan advisor, and Sister Mairéad helps her in doing all the Irish translations for her monthly blog and all the prayer services and all of the other needs and resources that we have to put at the use and at the disposal of our teachers up and down the Archdiocese and who want to avail of resources in the Irish language. I want to thank God this evening for, I suppose, what I might describe as Sister Mairéad's linguistic skills, because those linguistic skills are absolutely critical if you're going to publish a work of this calibre. And it wouldn't be possible without those skills to relaunch this book and publish it again. As I said, it does include much very nice colour illustrations, and these can be used for various prayer moments. They can be used in prayer spaces, in classes, or indeed in parishes. It's not just confined to schools, because many of our parishes have Irish masses. They have Gaelscoileanna in their parishes and celebrate sacraments and preparing children for the sacraments. So they're great assistance, not just to schools, but also to the parents, because education, particularly religious education, is a three-way thing, if I could put it that way. This now, we try to involve not just the pupils, but the pupils, the school, and the parents, and that's so important. So it also appears in an e-form, and will be available not just here in the Archdiocese, but up and down the length and breadth of this country. Sister Mairéad is a generous person, and it's not a commercial enterprise, so she's actually made it available free to anybody who wants to avail of it. And I suppose her philosophy there is that she has been given so much by the educational system, by pupils, by teachers in school down the years, that she's now giving something back of herself and something of those skills that she has acquired. She's no young woman, I suppose, if I could put it that way. One should look at her birth cert, but you wouldn't think to look at her that the number on her birth cert is what it is. But faith and education, and I suppose the Gaelic culture, the Irish culture and Irish culture and language is part of that Irish culture, that those have been passions of Sister Mairéad, and she's been able to bring those to bear in this particular publication. She has brought them in a particular way into a harmony in the book. And I suppose nowhere more than in prayer do we find always those things coming together, language, prayer, and the faith of the people, because their faith was expressed through prayer. And there are very many prayers indeed in the Irish language today that do not find expression anywhere else. And sometimes when the Irish language and culture dies in an area, those prayers die with it. Why? Because it was an oral tradition and they were handed down orally down through the centuries. So when something of that culture disappears from the landscape, similarly the prayers that generations of Irish people have said disappear as well. Today's young people live in a world which in many respects is new, and it's undergoing rapid and continual evolution. And all of this cannot be ignored when it comes to programming and indeed carrying out the various phases of catechesis for those who are approaching the sacraments and those who want to deepen their faith and know something more about it. And responding effectively to this kind of rapidly changing culture in terms of religious education, that is a new challenge for the Irish Church. It's a new challenge for those who are involved in pastoral ministry, whether as priests or deacons or as lay workers or as catechists. And in general, I would say the Church in Ireland, and not just here in the Archdiocese, has been cognizant that it is not only paying attention to the ambient culture in which it finds itself and being sensitive to its spiritual needs and aspirations, that one can actually hope to evangelize the culture. Because if you're not sensitive to that culture, if you're not sensitive to the spiritual needs of people, and despite all of the secularization, there is a need for people spiritually to be able to express themselves and to give expression to that spirituality. The popular prayers in the Irish language, as I said, they have been passed on orally from generation to generation over the centuries, and particularly in Irish-speaking areas of our country. And ultimately, what is important is not so much the prayers that we do or that we do not say, but it is the prayers that have been said before us by generations whose so hard-won loyalties are so authentically embodied in the people of faith, and they're so vibrantly expressed in their worship of God, either in private prayer or in public prayer, such as the Mass and the other sacraments. And it is in this particular edition of Slí Chun Dé that there is a variety of prayers. There's a variety of prayer services for special occasions, whether it's Patrick's Day, Christmas Day, St. Breed's Day, occasions when there is bereavement, and the other occasions that we find ourselves wanting to come together as community to pray together and express our faith to God, or sometimes even just a cry from the heart in a tragic situation where we want to come, as the psalmist did in old, crying out their hearts to God in particular difficult situations. These prayers, what they do is they express a belief in a strong, a loving, and a forgiving God, and in the Virgin Mary as somebody who is familiar and is helpful and an intercessor, and indeed the saints who are seen as intercessors of God, whether it's Breed or Patrick or the other saints. So I'm delighted, Sister Mairéad, that the Archdiocese of Dublin is able to support this publication of Slí Chun Dé. I'm here this evening to pay a heartfelt tribute to you and to say thanks to you in person, because you were responsible for the first edition. It's your work. Others have assisted you in getting it together a second time, but fundamentally the copyright belongs to Mairéad ní Bhuchalla. And in doing so, I think you have done something magnificent, not just for the Archdiocese of Dublin, but also for the whole Catholic Church in Ireland. And when the ancient Irish offered a new enterprise to the future, and we're doing that this evening because it is in some sense a new enterprise, you have added to it, you've increased it, you've improved it. And with the launch of something like this, I think the prayer they might have said was the following: A Christ an Síl, a Christ an Fór, in Itlan Dé go Dr. Shin. A Christ an Mhuire, a Christ an Thísc, I Línta Dé go Gostar Shin. O os go ish is o ish go bos, do ga love a Christ an al haring. O bos go criach, ni criach ac a vos, I boris na gras go rawamij. Dear friends, this evening I implore God's blessing and our gratitude on Miss Sister Mairéad and all who helped her with this publication, and especially Lily Barry, who was particularly instrumental with her in bringing it to fruition. Gurmila Mahagot, Mairéad.
Shoilse son winter an Choláiste bhhain buchas sa gabhalacht as dheisc deis leabhra an nocht. Inis beag teachtrach dagan ó bheirt scalóra, Tomás agus ábha ó chuiste na noltaí Choláiste Mhuire.
Is mór an honor domsa Tomás agus má cósglóra Éva ó chuiste na noltaí, an deis seo a bheith againg iniu dres cáinte dhéanamh, thar ceann daltaí ile Choláiste Mhuire, agus leabhar Phaidreoireachta Slí Chun Dé a ailsiú go hiifeagáil I Choláiste Mhuire an nocht. An drocóir ní féidirling a bheith leat an nocht a Searmanais. De bhór na srianta a léig, ach baimid sáta os YouTube níos déanaí mu é bhrún na bhuiche gur féidirling a bheith rang fórtach I do ócáid speisialta, agus Slí Chun Dé á ailsiú. Leabhar amai I ngach ghail Choláiste ó ceann na tíortha roimh a bhfad. Feici sibh a léig an sin an seoad luachmhar atá againg an seo I Choláiste Mhuire. ba í craolar agus ceanrádaí na scoile, atá na faointe inspráid doing agus ar ground take. Ban í le críomhmhór agus le híomh an gáire a gánaí ar a haid.
Tá míid tharbheith brádáil go féidir an píosa beag don Searmanais, ar bhéal, stúma, cineálta, gabhadh seo a roinnt le scón na Gaeltachta agus gael scón na eile ar fud na tíortha. Is féidir libh sult agus téirbhe a bhaint á saothair seoid Choláiste Mhuire an Searmanais. Tá míid sásaí a roinnt libh ar Phaidreoireachta. Mar thógáil scór, ní cuineáil me se bhád eile sibh. Cócú léinn a bheith an seo don nithe agus ar gluúán ar Searmanais a phlé aguain, a caithimid bogad ar aghaidh agus sílam go bhfuil sé féiliúnach go críochnaimid le fáidir álinn as a leabhar a Searmanais. Bhean atá dtí a thuirt comhrá le dún mar altaí agus mar daoine óga. Níl na focail aguain lena riachas a gabhadh leat, ach gach ní dhéann tú dún agus a phobal na scoile. Go háiris ó crí leat a Searmanais tá mo uile ceithre bheith brádáil asat, is ionntach an gasca hiú.
Comhrá leis an Searmanais ní Bhuchalla. A dhuine ág nar lé an saoil chrua ort fós, mo comhrá le duit is ghlacmha mí bí olaf don slí atá rót. Nach chu ó éireann do gharm is do chlú, seach an bheirt ar halló í nó a chuirthaí í ar cuid de ciún. Mar chríosaí a chóir, lansar lurg an bháis ar bhór, bhí dílis do racht a bhús is even dit a dhuine ág.
Inis chum fáilte ribh phríomhoide Choláiste Mhuire Oisín Eoin leabhart linanis.
A Shoilse a Ardeaspag Bhaile Átha Cliath, a Cheor Mairéad, a Dhaoine Uasla agus a Chorja. Is honor agus privléid as cuimse dumsa. Ceilóra a dhéine Slí Chun Dé leis an Cheor Mairéad ní Bhuchalla an Ucht. Déardaoin O'Connell, Príomhoide Choláiste Mhuire, gur a bé dia é hain a cheol an Cheor Mairéad hiag Choláiste Mhuire. Héistí an doras a hiúlasteach I mílúnasa na bliana 1997. Bhí agus tá fós chuile gcuine I bobal na scoile aon ocail leis an túram sin. Is seodín na scoile í an Cheor Mairéad. Agus í ina lóchran dóchas agus sírmhíochas dúin go léir I gcónaí. Your Grace, Archbishop Ó Fearghail, Sister Mairéad, ladies and gentlemen, and friends. It is an incredible honour and privilege for me to be here this evening to celebrate the launch of Slí Chun Dé by Sister Mairéad Buckley. Donal O'Connell, former principal of Choláiste Mhuire, said that it was God himself who sent Sister Mairéad to Choláiste Mhuire after she walked into the school unannounced in August 1997. The entire school community are very much in agreement about that opinion. Sister Mairéad is the jewel of the school. She is our constant beacon of hope and of positivity. Is ag freastal Dhaoine óga sa chóras a dachas bunscola, manscola agus in Earnáil an a dachas speisialta a cá an Cheor Mairéad a saoil oibre in Éireann, I Sasana, in Alban agus in Zambia. I mar bhúntar ranga, mar phríomhoide, mar bhainisteoir scoile, agus le ceithre bliana is fiche anuas, mar héip bliana chun seo I Choláiste Mhuire. Ón mbliain 1955 go dtí 1997, d'oibrigh an Cheor Mairéad in ní scoil déag, agus gabhmuid buíochas le dia na glóra gurb I Choláiste Mhuire a chuirsí fuaithe ar deireadh. Sister Mairéad has spent her working life serving young people in the education system, at primary and at secondary level, and in the special education sector. She has worked all over the world, in Ireland, in England, in Scotland, even in Zambia. She's worked as a classroom teacher, as a principal, as a school manager, and for the last 24 years here in Choláiste as our school chaplain. From 1955 to 1997, Sister Mairéad worked in 19 different schools all over the world. And we thank God that she finally decided to settle here in Choláiste. Is geall le féirín cuan é Slí Chun Dé. Tá na Searmanais Phaidreoireachta go léir atá ann có snasta is atá siad áisiúil. Tá gcuis agus severas as cuimse is simplíocht na bhocail. Agus tá bearna mór línta ag an tuair Mairéad leis an saothar riluach for seo. Bannig Gael Choláiste fud na tíre úsáid as, agus éis goig sé cuasaí go mór de aíonna atá géirí Searmanais Phaidreoireachta a agrú. Slí Chun Dé is quite simply a gift to us all. The ceremonies in it are as polished as they are useful. The extraordinary wisdom and richness is there in the simplicity of the language that Mairéad has put on those pages. And she has filled a considerable void with this fantastic piece of work. Slí Chun Dé will be an invaluable resource to all Gael Choláiste all over the country, as it will make the preparation of prayer services so much easier. By Choláiste ag ceiliúra nócha bliain an bhód an bhliain siúm, agus ní amháin go mbeidh an tuair Mairéad I lár an aonaí ag gach uile ócáid, ba mid ag bra go mór uirthi, agus Slí Chun Dé, agus na Searmanais an nagrú gcuin. Déarmuid Mairéad I féin gur bhí an Ghaeilge, an Mass agus an Creidimh, a measc na rudaí is táchtaí dí ina saoil. Agus is leis na luachana sin a tógu tradiisiún agus éireacht Choláiste. Gabhaim buíochas le pobl Choláiste as an úslocht a bhaineann leis an scoil. Ní féidir cultúr ná atmosfér mar sin a cruthú thar oíche. Thar ceann pobl ratha na scoile bhfuil an buíochas speisialta a gabháil len ar gcuid iarscoláirí agus leis na hiarbhíl fórna, as an duit go léir a chur siad orthú féin. Thar na blianta son Choláiste. Tá muid ag súil go mór le búla libh ag ceann dár nócádaí ceiliúrtha láthair na scoile I gahabh na bliana se chuan. Bhuailm an deis a hapú le buíochas ó chrí a gabháil len ar scoláirí ratha, len a dismóthirí, agus leis an bhuireann iontach atá gcuin I Choláiste. Tá mula le tiltte ag mo leat bhádóir, Alison Barber, príomhoide tánasteach na scoile. Geall leis an tuair Mairéad is ban atá thar a bheith cumasach agus ionrach, agus tá ordmheas ag chuile dhuine dín dí. Next year, Choláiste will celebrate 90 years since its foundation. And not only will Sister Mairéad be the life and soul of every celebratory occasion, we will be, as we always are, entirely dependent on her, and indeed on Slí Chun Dé, as we set about organising the various celebrations. Sister Mairéad herself says that the Irish language, respect and faith are three of the most important things in her life. And the tradition and heritage of Choláiste is built on these very same values. I wish to thank the Choláiste community for the nobility that prevails in Choláiste. A culture and an atmosphere as rich and as positive as this cannot be created overnight. On behalf of the current school community, I wish to pay special tribute to our past pupils and to all our former staff members for their incredible efforts on behalf of Choláiste down through the years. We hope to meet you all here in the school at one of our celebratory occasions during the course of the next school year. I would like to also take this opportunity to most sincerely thank our current students and their parents, and especially the incredible staff that we are blessed with here in Choláiste. My senior management partner, Alison Barber, Deputy Principal, is worthy of very special mention. Just like Sister Mairéad, she is a woman of inordinate talent and integrity, and she is held in the highest esteem by all of us. Rainan dia na sualki agus gan aina go rain sé feel flahul iad an tuair Mairéad. Tá mar fad anmhuíocht den tuair Mairéad go bhfuil si sásta a cuid talinne a raint linn. An bhfuil isagi go bhfuil craobh na héireann buaite ag an tuair Mairéad im léana. Tá I héin agus an bháistreas ní airí, bhail furan trán a gceist na scoile le fada an lá, agus ag tús bhí eibreán bhuaig siad craobh comórtas ile éireann. Mar a luigh na scolóirí an bhí seán is ceann ródaí I an tuair Mairéad. Bhí si a gcónaí chun tosaigh an slua. Ag an nóméidín, tá me chun scéal garad a insint díomh nó a raint libh scéile dinis an tuair Mairéad lom le déanaí agus léiríonn an scéal sin a cuid ceann ródaíochta. It is said that it is God himself who bestows the various qualities on each of us. And there is no doubt that he was particularly generous when Mairéad's turn came. We are eternally indebted to Sister Mairéad that she is kind enough to share all her talents with us here in Choláiste. Did you know that Mairéad won an All-Ireland title this year? Herself and an bháistreas ní airí have been in charge of the school's quiz team for many years, and at the start of April they won the All-Ireland final. Sister Mairéad is indeed a pioneer, as our students mentioned on the video a short time ago. She has always been ahead of the crowd. And I'm going to share with you now a short story that she told me earlier that highlights her pioneering spirit. So Horla an scéal seo I mí úl ní déag carach dó. Bhí blian caite a gom I rang na níán, agus go réir nós imachta an ama sin tháinig an máistor, múntóir rang a hain, hiig an rang chun na páistí a bheith aige ina rang gon sculbhlín nua a bhailú. So this story is set in July 1942 in the National School in Ballyvourne, County Cork. And the story is in Mairéad's words. I had spent a year in the infant class, and in line with the tradition of the time, the master, the teacher from first class, came to the classroom to collect the students that he would have in his class for the following school year. Bhí Bhuchalla, Tormid Huey a bhí níos sinna ná mé. Agus bhí sé in éon rang lom. Agus bhí an máistras ag cuireadh dó ó am go céile nach méag sé ag boga a raig go dtí rang a hain. There was a boy, let's call him Huey, who was older than me. He was in the same class as me. And from time to time, the máistras would remind him that he wasn't going to be moving on to first class. Glí an bháistreas amach na páistí agus Dan Huey ina hiacán go dtí go nuairt sí leis boga a raig. The class teacher, the máistreas, she called out the names of the children who would be moving on. Huey remained seated. Is cuimreach lom gnearna mé masúnú an masúnú seo a macligan beag. Ó tharla go bhfuil Huey ag boga a raig, ba chóir dumpsa boga a raig comá, mar bíonn na freagraí ar ólas amsa nuair nach míonn siad ar ólas ag Huey, agus lean mé an slua. I remember very well that I did a little evaluation in my own head. Since Huey is moving on, I should be moving on as well, because I know all the answers that he knows, and more besides. And I stood up and I followed the crowd. Ag am sosa glí máistreas na níán orm, agus dúirt sí lom nach raibh sé ar intin eici go mbog hin a raig, ach ó tharla go raibh mé I rang a hain inis go bhféitin fannacht an. At the break time, the teacher from the infant class called me over and said that she had not intended that I was going to be moving on. But since I had moved on to first class, I was allowed to stay there. Sílim hain galéiríonn sé sin an aonmhuinín agus an ceannródaíocht a bhaineann leis an teoir Mairéad. I honestly believe that that little story encapsulates in a nutshell the pioneering spirit and indeed the self-confidence of young Mairéad. Mar Uckalscur Guim se rat dé an agrán nua seo de Slí Chun Dé agus haar ceann pobl Choláiste Mhuire gaum buíochas ó crí leis an teoir Mairéad, as an díolseacht, as an dúchrocht, as an líocht agus as gach rud eile atá roinnte eici linn. Tá gach duine I bobal na scoile, haar a bheith buíochtaíocht, ón lá cinúnach sin I 1997. Finally, I wish the very best of success to this latest edition of Slí Chun Dé, and on behalf of the Choláiste Mhuire school community, I wish to thank Sister Mairéad from the bottom of my heart for all her loyalty, her industry, and for the wisdom that she has been kind enough to share with every one of us in the school community since that fateful day in 1997. Teoir Mairéad or míle buíochas leat.
Gur mágad a phríomhoide. Inis beag físeán garad agan ó bhairt scalóra, Conor agus Caitlin, Rincóirí Choláiste Mhuire. Gan tuile muile, fága mé ag ar géad cainteoir eile é, sin Lily de Barra. I now invite Lily Barry from the Education Office of the Diocese to share a few words with us.
Díomh a cairde. Go raibh má a gibh a bhí anseo to Mairéad's, the launch of Mairéad's Slí Chun Dé. It is my great pleasure to have accompanied Mairéad on this journey. She is quite simply a lady, bright, humorous, caring, kind and generous, with the soul of someone still in the prime of her life. Her energy is infectious. I have never known her to say no, and she is always on the lookout for something new to do. Mairéad holds a deep place in my heart, Mo Anam Cara, and I can never thank her enough for the support she has shown me in my role as Diocesan Advisor for the Archdiocese of Dublin. This book bears testimony to her hard work, her gift and love for education and the Irish language, and her generosity. Her gift of this wonderful resource to every Gael cloister throughout the country bears testimony to that. Mairéad, this is your night, so I wanted to keep it short. I just wanted to make sure that tonight it was marked and surrounded by the people you care deeply for, and especially your colleagues and the students here in Choláiste Mhuire, who I know you hold in high esteem. So I just want to end with just a short blessing from John O'Donoghue. May the nourishment of the earth be yours. May the clarity of light be yours. May the fluency of the ocean be yours. May the protection of the ancestors be yours. And so may a slow wind work these words of love around you, an invisible cloak to mind your life. Gur míle maith agat.
Gur maith agat Lily. Inis an fi sean dearnach agan, ó cheoltóirí, Choláiste Mhuire, Líse agus Céire.
Trasna dunta dul shir Slán Sean Uignis is Slán Sean Gin Gale mo crí agus Gale an grin Galig be fila go herin Chanach mo go hin de hir a higain Or agus arrogant sebris on tail Irene on green am le braga gagle Smeg drid am le du hig mo winter Trasna na dunta dul shir Slán Sean Uignis is Slán Sean Gin Gale mo crí agus Gale an grin Galig be fila go herin Winter an ear her she'd cord a mo crí Falta is fela beg romer gog heb Hagant an tail sho she gwyd a mernry Girlos in a heap for a gil me Trasna na dunta dul shir Slán Sean Uignis is Slán Sean Gin Gale mo crí agus Gale an grin Galig be fila go herin Galig be fila go herin Mo
deara a chóirde, chuinigmid an cuid a bar go dtí an deara. Chur fáilte ribh an Searmanais leabhar Linn.
Gymeni di I Bhuchalla. Tá an-áthas ar an bhean seo le bhanacht. Chun an pobl scaile cóbháach atá going seo a chealúra. Pobl a chuim síon scoláirí, fuireann, tuismóthirí, banistíocht agus an-taobhathe. Caithíonn an seola leabhar seo, an dá spirid atá in our measc. Buine mís sult as cólúdar carad. Tá míad féarmhaíocht dá héilse an taspag Diarmuid Ó Fearghail, a chuilligh an leabhar seo a cheola. Fear míad féarcín fáilte ribhe chun na deoirse, agus cuimíad beannacht dé féin agus a héthar I ngort an tíorna. Mar míad bail, tá dlú nasc idir an leabhar Slí Chun Dé agus ofaigh I dtacais na deoirse. Fithe bliain ag fás. Sin an teadal den leabhar a scríomh Mhuire ó Súlaháin a dúis an céad seo caite. Is ag tagart dá ís féin a bhí an túdar, ach tá an leabhar seo ag fás agus ag forbairt ar feadh achar níos faide. Tá sé nach mór ceile bliain is fithe ó cuireadh peann le pár chun tús a chur le scríomh an leabhar. Agus seachtú nó ggóithín cheol na clódóirí an leagan seo chuig. Níor cuireadh rám an leabhar seo, ná an leabhar eile a scríomh. Ach dás Slí Chun Dé go nádúrtha as na nótaí a bhreac mé síos chun Searmanais Phaidreoireachta a chur ar fáil de scoláirí Choláiste Mhuire. Bhí gantanas achmhainní an Ghaeilge, de bhúntóirí agus a héplínig, nuair a chuig mise amón ebre I Choláiste Mhuire a bhór na bliana 917. Nuair a luigh mé an tasnamh sin leis an gcomhlór Diosha, bhil siad dom mac an í féin a scríomh. No, is do réir a chéile a tógta na Caisleán. Scríomh mé na Searmanais, do réir mar a bhí gálo agus bhain mé úsáid asta. Faoin mé an 2009 bhí breis agus scór Searmanais scríomh agam. Iad an nóir na scoil bliana agus iad ag réiteach le trána le tuairge na bliana. Bháil an seoir Siobhán Ó Fearghail, OP, a bhí ar coiste FS ag an am. Bháil siad dom éirí ar ailseáin áirspedáalta iad a chur gló a bhuirim leabhar. Go raibh míle mágad a Siobhán tá tú maithan san áit éigean. Seoladh an céad clód an leabhar is saoint na bliana 2009. Cuireadh 300 cóp I gló a bhuichas de Allen a Góchagáin SJ. A bhí ganas ar FS ag an am, agus atá anis in na Ardeaspag Bhaile Átha a Déardaoin. Go raibh 1,100 buchas agat na Ardeaspag. Beidir go bhfuil tú fécintóirí an nocht, tá cuireadh fáilte agat. Gáil cog, an cógáil I mi dtacais Gaeltachta agus Gaelscoláireachta na cóbanna sin ar na Gaelscoileanna. Bhuiin mé féin úsáidas na Searmanais agus rainn mé iad ar gcuine a bhí á lorg. Bhuiin Lily de Barra, cóirlór Ardéaspa Átha Cliath úsádasta in san mlág mísúil a cheolann si chuig na scoileanna. Le himimeacht aimsire bhí sé sa léir go raibh gá le hústáú, agus tháinig Eoin na falle sa tréimhse díon glasála a dús na bliana fithe fé sa héin. Bhí spás ama a gomsa, agus é carlam, sa tréimhse sin chun tuairt faoin obair a bhí cura an bhéir ada le fada an lá. Chur sé glondar críorm nuair a dhearbhaigh Mhuire ní mhórán go mbeadh cog sásta na ní hamháin an leagan úsáide de Slí Chun Dé ailsiú ach an leabhar a gháil na Gael Choláiste comá. Bhí sa mór na gitalí galna. Chun cór leis an deiscéal tháinig Lily de bara an bhód. Ofaigh i dtacais na deise an bhód mar banistóir. Agus chur Megan de bara, bar feabhas aíonnta an donscanmh, le deara an clúdaigh agus maisiúcháin an téacsc. Tauras ó dhé is an trúr cumasach seo. Mhuire, Lily agus Megan. Agus thar méchas stiltecha, is mór an creidún dóibh tora a séthar aíonnta. Go raibh 100,000 maithagah. Téan fréamhacha Slí Chun Dé siarga Choláiste Mhuire i gCarnóg Fearghail. Mar sin í an áit bheanathe spreag mé chun tuairt faoi Searmanais Phaidreoireachta a scríomh. Táim go mór fé cumín ag dónaló conil, príomhoide na scaile ag an am. Ig mí hall na murceartaigh, caithíola chun bhór banistíochta, ag mar í bhathúna agus na buil eile a dostaigh mé mar héplíonach sa bhliain 1997. Tá sibh an sámát ádéigean go surbhí déisih. Thosnaigh ré orga nua i mothéal. An lá hiúil mé thar táirse isteach i gCarnóg Fearghail. Rééis sé lom go raibh an scail seo difriúil. Go raibh 10 spirit le ag buint lé. Agus céan fánach meach. Bhí Gael i dtacas agus Gael cultúr faoi rath is faoi réim san áras ársa sin. Bhleis mé an spirit le san áilte a chuir a gróm, san uaisleacht agus san díalseacht a cleacht pobl na scaile. Dága mar an saomh nuair a bhogam mar go cabrach sa bhliain 2003, ach thugam mar an spirit ling. Tá an Gaeilge agus Gael cultúr beo bríomhar faoi bhlá san saomh nua. Fuair sibh bleise den spirit sin an nocht. Go má fada bún an spirit sin san saomh seo. In ómósta na daoine brathe a casteach orm a Choláiste Mhuire, agus a hebhraigh mo héal ó 1997 le. Túlacham an leabhar seo. Agus inis seo lista de sa daoine go bhfuil an Oscar tiltte acu. Agus le bhúr dul nuair a gléifar bhúr nanamnacha, se sige. Agus fága dhéan bóla bosca díon deir. Right. So, seo iad na daoine inis go bhfuil Oscar tiltte acu. Agus á chréibh scríle a ghuinan sa an nocht. Tá mé go mór fé cumín ag an túsal dónaló conil a dostaigh mé mar héplíonach. Agus dá chórbí ile, Alabéir de Búrca, tún san Alabéir, Dáhí O'Neill, Brendan í Ciarán, Tomás Moracú, agus Oisín Eoin, a thug gach deis agus tacaíocht dom, agus de Lily de bara, óifig i dtacais na deise, thug spraga, cóirla agus cáirdom. Is dóibhsin agus de Iran, agus scoláirí Choláiste Mhuire, a thuilecham an leabhar seo ina córa ceanna agus spéacais, go surbhí déisih. Friends, we are gathered here tonight physically and virtually to celebrate our caring school community. A vibrant community that includes students, staff, parents, management and trustees. Tonight's event nurtures this bond of unity and care. Slí Chun Dé originated in response to a need and with encouragement from individuals, the Dublin Diocesan Education Secretariat and Choláiste Mhuire, developed over the years into the second edition that we are launching here tonight. This beautifully illustrated ebook is a credit to the skills and application of three very gifted persons. Mhuire ní bhórán, tá son Mhuire nach bhfuil. Mhuire ní bhórán from COG, the publishers. Lily the Bara, Jesus Lily, from the Education Office of the Dublin Diocese, who managed the project, and Megan the Bara, who designed the cover and illustrated the text. We owe them an enormous debt of gratitude. Choláiste Mhuire was established 90 years ago in response to a request from the government of the day to provide the first Gael Choláiste for boys in the country. Choláiste Mhuire thrived in Parnell Square, Dublin 1 until 2003, when the school moved to Cabra, bringing with it our rich educational and cultural heritage. Consequently, we are now proud to offer our students a rich educational banquet of the newest of foods and the oldest of wines. That is, a top-class 21st century educational experience rooted in our rich cultural heritage. Garmagh.
Go raibh míle maith agat a bhraid. Agus muid a chuir deara leis an oíche bhfuil bronna a dhéanamh an Searmanais. Tá múntóir ón Choláiste agus dlú chara léithí an bháistrás tras an iarraí chun bláthna a bhronna ort a bhraid. Agus inis tá príomhoide an Choláiste Oisín Eoin chun glunne crystal de chris Celtach a bhronna ort comá.
Seoladh Slí Chun Dé, Mairéad ní Bhuchalla, náda sé a náda chuig. And it is 24% lead crystal. Well, it's hard to talk about all of the special thing, but really talk on age and massive or Eoin, I was going to talk about this doctor. I was going to do the array organ, Tosna Hebonsa, the Kevin State, agus, good evening.
Chorda sin deara leis an ócáid an ocht. Bhfuilinn ar muochas a gabháil le Hímar de Bara Rúnaí na Scoile, agus Peter Kyo Fáilí na Scoile, agus Friaran an Choláiste a cheirigh linn an ócáid seo a agrú. Cumála sin bhfuilinn ar muochas a gabháil le cág agus acathirithe le Mhuire ní bhórán. Bhfuilinn ar muochas a gabháil libh as Octobhar go luadar an ocht agus le cúnamh dé feicimid go leor agah an bhliain se thugan agus muid a calóra nó go blion choláiste Mhuire faoi bhlá. Go dé sibh slán.